Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
How are
How
you
are
all
you?
doing today?
It's voting day, Jim.
Yes, it is.
Election day. You're going after work to vote?
Yep, yep. I'm leaving right
Awesome.
after work because when I went to go to work this morning and I left earlier the house and I saw the very long line and I thought, okay, people were out voting today. That's great. But I thought
Yes.
I'm going to go right after work. So
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I did a mail-in ballot. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't sure where we'd be in the state of the world at the moment. So I did a mail-in ballot, and so mine's been done, but hopefully all of our
nice.
listeners go out and vote and do their duty, right? So
That's right.
what kind of coffee or tea do you have, Jim, this
I
morning?
today I've had one cup of coffee at home. So
Ooh,
right now I am drinking my herbal mint hot tea.
I love it. Love it. I
Yes.
still have got my Starbucks coffee.
There you go. There you
So
go.
awesome. Awesome. And what did you do this week to feel not so overbooked before we start diving into our book?
Oh, very good question. I would say not to feel overbooked. I would say once I got through the week last week, the weekend, Saturday was a busy day. Sunday was kind of like a windy, chilly, like rainy day. Not really a good day to be outside. I was outside picking up sticks and trying to blow leaves, of course, before dark. But I actually took that day, and there was some paperwork stuff that I had to find. So I went through some old papers, the things that I've had in a box for like the last 10 years. And I'm like, okay, I need this, I need this, I do not need this. So I started purging. Like I actually started to like throw things in the garbage, some things in recycling, you know what I mean? So it's helping me to become a little more organized. Some things that I needed to find, I found, and um, kind of made me feel really good. So it was like one of those days that I watched football in the afternoon.
Right. There was a lot of good games on.
Yes, my wife went out and because my stepson wanted breakfast from Dunkin'. So
Oh,
so we were like, okay, so we went out and got something. So it was actually like a late morning lunch type thing. So I decided I splurged and got the hot coffee with the pumpkin swirl. So that made me feel better. So that was
there you go. Tons of
my
overbooked
weekend.
things.
So what'd you do this weekend to make you feel less overbooked?
Well, it's ironic because I like helping people and things and whatever. And it probably caused more stress than anything. But I know you know this, but my friends and I rescued a cat this weekend, which for those of you who know me, I'm a big dog person, but we're trying out this cat thing. So now I've got 3 dogs and a cat. Um, but it's something about whenever in my life, like I'm going through, like there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of things. Granted, the cat caused a lot of stress. Like I don't even know how to take care of a cat. I had to learn how to use a litter box. But um, it when I focus on something else or someone else, it helps me to reevaluate and change perspective. So it was nice because I was a little like, oh, I'm going to spend the day for me, and which is great, but it helped me to, really wrap my brain around. So I can't say I'm 100% rejuvenated today. Usually I use my weekends for that, but you know what? I saved a cat with my
You
friends.
did.
So,
You did. And that cat's always going to be grateful and love you for that. And
right.
now he has a home.
Yeah, so it's great. And you know what
Right.
I forgot? Our icebreaker for people. Again, these
Oh,
icebreakers are to get to know us a little bit more, to think about yourself as well, and to use with your colleagues. Just use them for fun. All right, Jim, here we go. In the
okay.
fall, finish the statement. In the fall, I love to go to.
Let's see. That is a great question, Becky. Let's see. In the fall, hmm. Well, you know what I always enjoy? Besides going to a pumpkin patch,
Ooh.
love going to the annual craft fair, fall festival craft fair
Oh,
that Knoebels always had. My
wow.
I would go there. We walk around like for the day, the afternoon, and there would be several things that we'll buy like for the house, and maybe some things I would just add a little stain to kind of finish up a little bit. But it was just so much of the good work that's handmade, made by our own people that we have like in the local area. Unfortunately, this year, because due to COVID, they did not have it this year. So I was disappointed about that. So I didn't get to go. this year.
Yeah,
Otherwise, that's something I always look forward to in the fall.
that's awesome.
How about you, Becky?
Well, I'm a sports person. So in the fall, I love, and my heart's crushed for my husband and his team, but I love going to his soccer games. And I should say football games, not his football games, but like Penn State football games or things
Mhm.
like that. So I love that. And I know it's not going anywhere, but bonfires are fun for me. So I like to do that. But yeah, so that's about it. Or corn mazes. I love corn mazes, but I also get nervous because I don't want to get lost in the corn maze, which again, those of you that know me, that's probable, could probably get lost in the corn maze,
Me too.
but they're fun. They're so fun. So thinking about doing one this weekend, but all right, let's dive into this book. Let's dive into, we put some templates out for people if they want to use it as their company, finding their whys or
Mhm.
individually. Jim, do you want to start by highlighting some of,
Absolutely.
if you're looking for the individual why, that workshopping, what it looks like?
Mhm. Absolutely. And Becky, if it's okay with you, I'm thinking maybe for this, for our purposes, because we're going to be covering 2 chapters, we're not going to go into great detail. Like we're not going to go through each little step. Like we're not going to go through everything with you. However, we're going to hit upon the major topics. And then I want to share with you maybe a personal example that I have.
Perfect.
Revisit my why statement. So,
right.
So for chapter 3, so the steps on focusing on, chapter 3 was probably 40 to 50 pages to read easily. So it took some time, but it was a wonderful breakdown. So it's just like to just make that time and kind of just breaking it down. And that's what we have here in our notes that we provide for you. So like one of the first steps is to find your partner. And you know what? Find that partner who you can feel very comfortable talking to. All right. Who you can share your personal information with. Maybe not someone that you know too well. Sometimes this is kind of nice to kind of get to know someone else and be able to connect with someone else. So, and they want to help you discover your why. So that was step 1. Step 2, get your partner up to speed. So by this, what we mean is show them the book, show them chapter 2 in particular here, the concept of the golden circle, chapter 1, chapter 2. There is on here, and I provided a little link that has a TED Talk from Simon Sinek. So, which is really cool to watch. So I watched that as I was reading chapter 3 as well. So think about, as far as your partners, think about some of your open-ended statements. So we always want to dive deeper, not just say, oh, okay. No, we need to start asking those questions. And at times, you know what, it may become very uncomfortable for us. We may feel a little be a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, or maybe the other person be like, wait, why are you asking me all these questions? Like, come on, I'm trying to talk to you here. But no, we're doing this for a reason. It's kind of like that. How should I make the comparison right now? Because I'm gonna get into Becky. Let's say opening up a banana. Okay, so we're trying to peel a banana. Now we take off the outer layer, but then we realize that there's still some pieces of it that we still need to peel off even more. Or like the little strings, we need to take the strings off the bananas before we start to eat the banana. So, or like maybe an ear of corn, same thing. When you're trying to peel apart, we're trying to get down to the center. So that's how we're trying to do this.
And I like that analogy because it can get messy. It can get gross. It can be tedious.
Yes.
Like you think of peeling a corn on the cob, like, okay, this is definitely central Pennsylvania here. But like when you're peeling that corn, it gets like tedious sometimes. You got to get all the hairs and messy and sticky, but it's delicious at the end. But sorry, Jim, go ahead, continue.
That's okay, because
I love that analogy.
Thank you. And then I was thinking about make sure you have floss too. And then do you use the kind that you do like this, or do you do the this? And okay, I'm getting a little silly here. So anyway, same thing. You know what? We try to do that as we try to gather our stories. That was number 4. So think of those experiences. This one I loved because you know what? Your why comes from your past. Maybe it could be a period from your birth to yesterday. Draw your stories from any of those period frames. There was methods of peaks and valleys, as well as the memory prompts. This part is probably where I'll give an example from me, okay? Sharing your stories, time to sit with your partner, find your why, identify your theme. So what's our theme? What's our why? What's our theme? are we trying to go after? So like, then that kind of goes back to the find your why for the book. And as far as our purpose and our journey that we're here for, and then draft your why. So then this is where you start to create your statement. So
Right.
in a previous video, I'll share with you my why statement, which I have, which is always room to change around a little bit, change the wording a little bit, maybe make it a little more concrete, a little bit, so a little more descriptive. But mine is, as you remember, it says to provide helpful tools and support with others and me so that we can grow and make an impact in the lives of all. So it could be, you know what, I was a teacher, you know, I'm still a teacher, but you know, before it was with students. Now I'm working with teachers, I'm working with administrators, I'm working with paraprofessionals, working with related service, and the list goes on and on. And I think about, you know, as far as maybe like with family and friends as well, and for myself. So that's part of my why. So it's helping me to realize that, you know what, I'm here for a purpose and I'm in this journey and I continue to learn as I grow, because there's always room to grow and learn. So
That's awesome.
all right, so that was my chapter 3. One of my favorite quotes is, our struggles are the short-term steps we must take on the way to long-term success. That was on page 57. Love that.
Wow.
So throughout my life, throughout my journey, you know what, there are struggles. I struggle. I mean, there's struggles I have every single day. I will admit it. Before, I used to be afraid to admit it because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble. I don't want to, like, everyone thinks I have. No, you know what? We are who we are. And that helps.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. So yes, I've had many struggles and I continue to have struggles, but I just find those methods and ways that continue to help me grow and know that, you know what, we're awesome. We're great. So long-term success, I want to think about the day I retire or the day, you know, I'm thinking about down the road and think about that path leading up to that, everything that I've done to get me to where I'm at. So,
Right.
and I know I'll cut this off really quick, but my one example, to share a personal example, I think about peaks and valleys, you know, and I'm thinking about, okay, 2020 is not over yet. So I'm not gonna reflect on 2020, okay? Because there were peaks and valleys, of course, but there's some ways that I feel there's been peaks in some ways for me, but I'm actually gonna reflect really quick back to the year, actually 2 years ago is the one I'll think about the most, 2018. Okay, 2018 was a very busy year for me. I had just started here at Blast, maybe about 6 months prior. So I was still learning my role, getting out there, meeting people. Things were going very well. So that's definitely a peak. Buying a house. I was engaged to be married. So that's a peak. Engaged to be married, buy a house, working on a house within a month, then getting married. So those were all the peaks. Getting my wife and I getting our family getting our first dog together, Jet. So that was a peak as well. And so it was like, okay, this year is just a lot of joys. And then at the same time, then I hit the valleys. So those valleys, you know, I mean, including just trying to struggle as far as all the transitions in my life. And then probably one of the most difficult challenge valleys that I had was I lost my dad that year as well. So that, and just leading up to that and the health concerns and, you know, just trying to, you know, try to just move through to continue to take each day through this process. And,
Right.
you know, so those peaks and valleys, but you know what, I do believe that, you know, from that, and, you know, there's days I still struggle, I still have my moments, but you know what, then I think about the life lessons that I was taught. And I mean, so now I find myself like kind of doing many things in my dad's shoes right now, what he did. And it's kind of like, okay, you know, this is what he would do right now. This is what I'm doing. And it's the joy that I feel in lessons. So it's for a purpose and it's helping me to kind of continue to discover my why and my purpose here. So, but hope that was what you're expecting, Becky.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I think it's great. And I appreciate you being so vulnerable with us. It's not easy to talk about, you know, past and your life. And I think you bring up great points about, again, your quote on page 57, our struggles are the short-term steps we must take on our way to long-term success. And I've been having this conversation with some of my friends, my colleagues, my family members, you know, a lot lately, because the struggles are real right now.
Yes.
And the way I deal with my struggles is very different than how others deal with struggles. Not everyone, but I was raised, pull up your bootstraps and I'm going to just say it, suck it up and you got this. Like, you got to move forward. You always got to push forward. But it's, not everyone's like that. And so it's hard to help. And sometimes the best thing to do is just lend a listening ear. And it goes to my personal
Yes.
why. And you and I have been talking about our whys this whole book, but it goes back to mine with to instill hope for a better thing, a better tomorrow, a better you, so that we feel empowered as an active change agent, ready to make the world a better place. And so again, remember your why as we're doing this, it shouldn't be interchangeable. Like, this is my why in the workplace, this is my why in real life. It should be a why that you can carry out in any setting. And it goes back to my own stories where, in my 5th year of teaching, I was pretty much hitting rock bottom, to be honest with you. And just like, as an athlete, a college athlete, I always had goals. There was always something more. What else am I working towards? It's even in life, I think people are like that. And I had hit a lot of my goals, and that's not like to boast. It's just where I was at. And I didn't know what was next. And so it scared me. And I struggled as a teacher. I struggled, is this what I'm doing? And I sort of lost that dwindle of hope. And so, I think about teachers now, and I think about my why. Like, that's what really frames my why. And because as educators, like, I'm not an educator because I just want to make them better on SATs or PSSAs or things like that. I want to make them better to be good contributors to society. But and even the people that I interact with every day. But I work with colleagues now, and we all are struggling. And this was on our podcast too, that last year, like what we're doing this year is not what we did last year. And so everyone's striving to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. And so we're struggling so much that as educators, we don't feel the success. And, I just spoke with someone, like, teaching is education. The field of education is not instant gratification. You have to believe in what you're doing. And so I know it's hard to grasp for us right now, but it's like embracing those struggles, because it is going to be a long-term success. And I don't know if you have anything to add with that before we dive into this group why. But I just know from my why and listening to everyone else right now in the field, it seems like that is the biggest struggle that people are dealing with, is what they've been so successful with in the past is not working now. And I just want everyone to hear, it's okay. Like, it's okay. It's not working. Jim, do you want to add anything with that?
Absolutely. Becky, thank you for sharing that. I honestly, and just listening to you there, just thinking about as far as like, and it kind of goes back to my why statement as well. Like, we're always thinking about, okay, well, I have to know this, I have to know this, I have to know this. And this year, since the pandemic and that, now like going back to school this year, it's a different by any means, not a year like any other. So like, honestly, like for my work now, when I do go to schools, providing that support to the teacher, it's more like, I feel like my heart just goes out to them, because they are doing so much, all the staff. And it's kind of like, and sometimes, like you said too, it's like that listening ear. Sometimes that listening ear is just what they need. Like, they just, for me, hey, listen, I'm so sorry, I don't have the right words for you right now. I'm here, I'm listening. If there's anything I could do for you, please, I'm here for you. That's all they need to hear, because
right. And
they just need to say it.
yeah. And I think, I keep telling all the teacher leader groups that we do, I mean, this is the time right now to I have these conversations with, people at Department of Education. And it's like, right now is the time that we can reimagine learning. So instead of looking at this as, oh, this is a struggle, oh, I can't do this. The worst thing you can do right now is be like, you surrender. Like, the best thing you can do is grab a buddy, grab a colleague, grab a student, and be like, hey, this is what I used to do. How could we do it differently? And really reimagine. It's the year, like, take off all those like things that are holding you and trapping you, and be like, you know what, I can do this. And allow yourself to have fun with it. So that was my side box, but that was part of my why.
Love
Getting
it.
into chapter 5 with the nested why, figuring out organizationally, if you're working with teams and thinking about whys, remember it starts with your individual why, then it goes to the nested why, your subgroup, and then you would have your organizational why, and how fitting we're going to our division meeting next, right? So basically, you want to start with, I would have a day and a half planned out. And you have someone set the context. Now, this person is someone that is unbiased, that will be running this meeting. And it goes through, breaks it down, but you set the context of what they're doing, this committee is doing moving forward. And then you run them through the why discovery process. And they do this in 3 different conversations. The first conversation is what's called the human difference. And that's when each person is going to go around and tell specific stories of when they felt most proud of the work they're doing in this organization. And I thought that was interesting. And you have little like flip charts around the room so people could go around and write. During this phase, the human difference conversation, they start writing down the sentence or phrases that will help them recall their story. Okay. So, I mean, Jim, I'm sure you're thinking in your head, oh, when do I feel most proud at work? Like, what's a story? And then you report out. So then you move after you report out. Okay. And all this is written down in our notes as well and in the book. You would move to conversation 2. And conversation 2 is what's called, what's your contribution? And so once you identify stories where you feel most proud, and I'm looking over here because I have my notes, because obviously I take notes while I read, but when you look then at each of those stories, you think about what was the specific contribution that you made to the organization to better the lives of others. And you would write down verbs, action phrases on another flip chart. Again, you do reporting time, take a break. And then the third conversation you have is called what's your impact? So it's like the BAM. Like I think of, the kickboxing. Remember I started kickboxing. I think of like the hard punch afterwards. But once you look at all the contributions, then you think about this, and this one's awesome. What did your contributions of your organization allow others to go on to do or be? So because of what you did, what was the ripple effect for the people that you impacted? And it's like, wow. Like, so now you start with yourself and then you're thinking about the ripple effect. So in our role, Jim, we do the presentation. I'm interested to see like the follow-up. So did it have any change on an educator? And then after that, after those conversations, you start drafting the why, and there's a process with that for the organization, your nested why. And remembering a couple of things of celebrating when you see the why taking place in your organization. So after you get this why, inviting people to continue to help reshape this why, because it continues throughout, and reframing it. And as the leader, always reflecting back and asking yourself, what did I do as a leader today that was aligned to our why? And I was like, wow. I think, it's interesting because some people can look at this as fluff. Some people can look at this as not as important. And I listened to one of Simon Sinek's talks the other day, but really it's sort of like those necessary steps. And it helps to really give purpose to what you do every day. So I know that you and I are heading to a division meeting and with our people, and I'm not sure what everyone else's days entail, but next week we'll be back with you. And we have chapter 6 talking about our how. So once we have our why, now we're going to talk about how do we do it? How do we live out our why? So
I just want to thank all of you for viewing, watching our video and throughout the weeks. If today's the first one that you've ever seen, the very first one that we recorded together, I said, like we said, our purpose is we talk about the book, try to help give ourselves a sense of purpose in this book, Find Your Why. It's also just the conversation with each other. And it's just like Becky and I, we have such a great relationship with each other as friends that we can share stories and talk about our past. And I learned so much from Becky, just in the short time that we've known. So, but you know what I mean? But this is part of like what we do. And it's just it's a good feeling that I have. And I love doing this with you, Becky. And
that's great.
can continue to watch us, and please share with us your stories, and we'd love to just continue to get to know all of you. So thank you again.
Yep. Yes, and like Jim said, everything is located on the IU17 website, www.iu17.org. You can find our study guide that you can print out, run with your
Yep.
colleagues. You can comment with us. You can watch these videos. So we're happy
And
to
with
have
the-
you along on this journey.
And with the exception of the book, this is free. So
Yes.
just take the time, and you can always put your AirPods in. You can go for a walk, listen to us. You can sit and have a cup of coffee. You know, you can read a book, and you know what I mean? You could be reading the book. You can be just, you know, just find happy time in that, and some time, and just join us. So again, thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.